Thank you so much for a lovely introduction. Um, Actually, it is very difficult to host a session or conduct a session before lunch, yeah, and also after lunch immediately. So, but anyways, we will try and do justice with the topic which we have today. I mean, the lady has introduced us very nicely, but I would like to take a minute of a time in reintroducing ourselves in my own way. So I represent the CSR from a corporate side. And when I look at the panel, it's a very diverse and powerful panel in terms of the experience which we have here. So we have somebody, Tarun, who is representing a consulting organization, Grant Thornton. And very, very rich experience in terms of in policy and other stuff with respect to FPOs and SHGs. We have Rashri, who is from one of the oldest, organizations in India, large not-for-profit organizations. They have done a tremendous grassroots level work. So you will be able to listen what kind of, challenges, what kind of, the models they have created around SHGs and FPOs. And we have Tushara, who is representing a corporate foundation, So it's a very diverse kind of panel, and let's hope we'll be able to do justice with this topic. And when we look at the landscape, I'll just set the context in 2 minutes of the time, that when we look at the SHG model, or the FPO model, the SHG we have seen from last 20-25 years, the trajectory and the growth, right from the saving and credit group, and now we are, we have almost 10 million SHGs in India, comprising of around about 94 million members in those SHGs. So, I mean, we are very glad to say that this is one of the largest women empowerment program in the entire world, not in the country, in the entire world we have this kind of a platform, the SHG platform, where they have done tremendous work in the reforming economic, empowerment in the rural areas. And when we look at the FPO landscape also from the last 5-6 years, it has grown tremendously. Government is focusing that, okay, 10,000 FPOs, numbers, and then we want to actually go to around about touch 50,000 FPOs in the coming years. That's all very good when we look at the statistics and the numbers. But today's topic is that, how can we leverage the existing SHG and the FPO platform for bringing social transformation? And we have seen, in our experiences, Tushara, Rachri, you will agree with me that whenever you implement a program on the ground, right, people look out for platforms, social platforms to implement the programs. And once you start utilizing those programs, once you start leveraging their strengths, then the program becomes more successful and, sustainable in the nature. So this is one of the very, very important and powerful platforms which we already have. So without wasting any further time, I'm confused actually right now to where to begin, but let me do this justice properly. But I will begin with the corporate foundation first. Tushara. So Tushara, I mean, we have seen, you have sent me a note saying that a lot of work on SHG, FPOs you have done. But I just want to understand, I mean, for the benefit of the audience also, that, how you have created that transformation while leveraging the FPOs on which you are right now working.
Thank you, Samir, and thank you, CSR Box, for the opportunity. As you rightly said, I represent a corporate foundation, but at heart, we are a non-profit, and we've been working for the last 36 years as a foundation, and we have huge amount of experience in this sector. I'm sure there are others who would have much larger, but what I could share from our learnings is that we have, on date, we have 44 farmer producer organizations that Lupin Foundation has helped incorporate. These are like, we're very proud because these are 44 companies run by the farmers, for the farmers. And here, our biggest learning from whatever we have been doing until now is there is obviously a lot of local politics that goes on in the FPOs. So, you know, the way the FPOs are brought together, there are some people who are the key decision makers. A lot of times they are also connected with each other, and there's a whole lot of confusion around that. So to tackle this particular issue, we have said that we are going to, and we are working with 20,000 farmers as of now in these FPOs with a share capital of 4.7 crores. We have tremendous opportunity to make a difference to them. They have a lot of different kinds of input trading business, output trading businesses. The reason why the farmers are brought together. There is cattle. We have all women exclusive FPO, which is doing phenomenally well. You know, in the farming sector, the biggest challenge is women being identified as the farmer first. So, I mean, because the land is typically not in her name. So that is the kind of challenges that our organization had to go through while formulating this. But they are all, fortunately, a lot of them, I would say 34 out of 44, we can hand on heart say that are running very well. And with the kind of strategy that we have for the future, it'll only grow further. I would stop there and maybe attempt further later.
Thank you, Tushara. I mean, the point which you touched right now, that was one of my other questions on the governance part of it. Because when we look at the FPO space still, we find that there are a lot of issues related to the governance, like you touched, that a lot of politics is there. A very relevant question I'm going to ask to Rashri from BAIF, because I mean, just to avoid this kind of a conflict, we have seen that there was an effort which was made long ago to promote male SHGs, right? It failed completely, miserably it failed. Because of so many reasons that, you know, women are very particular when it comes to organizing, when it comes to regularity, when it comes to even repayment, you know, they are very, very regular. So I just want to ask this question to Rashri, that, you know, you have done some great amount of work in women-led FPOs. You have done that tremendous work. So do you also find some kind of a governance issues, political issues there as well?
Yeah, thank you, Samirji. And first of all, thank you for inviting CSR Box entire team. I would like to compliment CSR Box team for having this topic as a discussion topic, because majority of the topic, like since yesterday I am seeing, are around health, skilling, education. So this is also very, very important topic. And I would like to set the context. One is because as a whole, India has moved from production to secondary agriculture. So I think there is a need for collectivization, and where I think SHGs, FPOs have a role to play. Second thing is, when it comes to sustainability, like we are partnering with quite a few corporates, and this is a CSR box-led event where quite a few corporates are here. So same is happening with our partners who are corporates. When it comes to, you know, moving from one project to another project, the whole question of sustainability is there. And from that point of view also, the having SHGs, federation, FPOs in place can ensure that kind of sustainability. And third thing is also, you know, we are talking about lot of issues of food loss, food waste, and we are talking about how to link producers to consumers. And from that angle also, I think FPOs is a kind of link which can help us to connect producers to consumers and from farm to fork. So there are various elements apart from like giving platform for communities or villagers to come together as a group and collectively act on various activities. So these aspects are also there. So I feel there is a tremendous potential for SHGs, SHG women-led federations, or FPOs, farmer producer organizations. And thankfully, they realizing this ecosystem and to give boost to this movement, government is also coming forward and 10,000 FPOs movement, CBBOs, NABARD is playing a very important role, and that kind of push is given by all actors and enablers. So I feel ecosystem is there, and now we need to harness this potential. So I would say that this is an opportunity and it is something given. So how best we can tap and we can work on it is onus is on us. And as a BAIF, I represent an organization called BAIF Development Research Foundation. So we are working in 15 states, more than 1 lakh villages and 348 districts. So we are working with close to 100 FPOs and more than 8 to 10 women-led federations and 3,000 plus SHGs. I would say our experience is mixed, Samirji. I won't say that it is a cakewalk, it's not a smooth journey, but still there are quite a few best practices, examples, and I would be happy to talk about those best practices and examples, and also some of the constraints how we could overcome in subsequent questions maybe. So currently I would like to stop and maybe I will come back again.
Rashtriji, I mean, you have very cleverly deflected my one question here. I mean, I will upgrade my level of questions in the next round. But what I just want to ask you is again, before reaching to Tarun, just for the benefit of the audience, can you highlight one good example of an FPO, women-led FPO,
Sure,
particularly?
sure.
Who is doing tremendous work. I mean, they are very clean, they are very,
Yeah.
niche in their governance, they are, setting a benchmark for others
Yeah.
to follow.
Sure. So there are quite a few examples in our programmatic areas. I would like to give this one example from our dairy FPO, all women-led FPO in Rajasthan. And this was just started 3-4 years ago. And I want to highlight how we leverage on the various elements that are there. You all know now there is an increasing feminization of farming, right? So with women in India, unlike in Africa where I saw it is a pastoralist kind of practice. But in India, there is a family farming. And farming system is essentially crop and livestock based. So every woman is involved in livestock. So Mahila Pashupalak is not something different for India. So when they are taking care of livestock, why not organize them and form a FPO and where they can also take on some higher responsibilities? That was a thought. And that is how we formed this FPO. And this project is supported by HZL, Samadhan project. And unfortunately today Anupam ji is not there, but I'm sure she would have quoted this example where it is, the group name is also some Mataji. So the kind of, Stri Shakti kind of thing. But the thing is, sir, they were typically Mahila Pashupalak, working as a laborer kind of thing or household level worker, but they were not recognized. So today we have formed a FPO, and those FPOs are into clean milk production. They are today generating around 2 crores of turnover this year they could generate, and through milk and through other products. And let me tell you, they are into clean milk production, so the SOPs have been developed, the training has been given to them, they have acquired those training. And what is the beauty of milk cooperative is, milk FPO is that it is production by masses. So it is highly decentralized activity and marketing can be centralized. And we have a very good ecosystem by way of private dairies, government dairies, so that we could harness. So now today, these FPOs are sending their milk to high-end customers like Taj Hotels. And that is the kind of thing they have achieved. And they are getting per liter 3 to 4 rupees extra by way of these linkages. So that's one example I would like to quote, Samirji.
Fantastic. I mean, this is a perfect example of leveraging the existing, platform, social platform, and then giving them a kind of a formal institutional shape. Right? Perfect. So Tarun, I mean, GT, Grant Thornton, known for research, known for consulting, right? Numbers always perfect. A small number of SHG, I just want to highlight, which I remember that, which was released last year, that around about 55,000 crores of microfinance has been done within the SHG groups. And they have a cumulative saving of around about 20,000 crores, correct? This is one model. But now you being a consulting, from the consulting front, I was reading one of your models of Atmanirbhar, Hazaribagh. So can you elaborate on how have you leveraged on this? I mean, can you please?
Thank you, Samir. And thank you, CSR Box, for having me, giving this opportunity. A topic very close to my heart. I lead the Rural Development Sustainable Livelihood portfolio for the firm. I will speak from different lens in terms of covering, what the government has already given us in terms of a platform and the ecosystem. I will also speak on behalf of, donor agencies and the likes of private sector collaborations that have fostered this ecosystem and are able to strengthen it further. Like the numbers that Samir did mention, almost 100 million women organized in about 9 million odd SHGs. That is an enabling factor, and that's the largest ecosystem probably that exists in the world. The kind of support and the credit part I'll come to, but, before that, we played a large role in terms of supporting the National Rural Livelihood Mission in their journey. We remain to be the only consulting firm that works very closely across the initiatives. We've been working with the Ministry of Agriculture. The 10,000 FPO promotion policy was, a large contributor at our end, given that we work with about 1,500 to 2,000 FPOs at any given point in time of the 8,500 FPOs that exist in the country. I will not get to the ones that are defunct today, but I will also speak in terms of, the theme, which is in terms of social transformation. How do we look at that journey in terms of enabling enterprise creation? So, while the schemes have been announced, there is large focus, the recent budget laid emphasis, the kind of enablement that also happened to certain policies and schemes was to bring in the entire portfolio of SHGs, into the ambit, and more so in terms of recognizing women in the field of agriculture. I think they go unnoticed. They go unnoticed, and the reason why, as the only professional services firm, we were able to look at grassroots livelihood implementation, given our experience of working with government, initiating large-scale programs with donor agencies, likes of the ADB and the World Bank in the country. And then finally, to, conceptualize a program, with the Gates Foundation in Hazaribagh was to test that, when we speak about doubling farmers' income, we talk about enabling livelihood. Is that all doable on ground, and what are the models that we can look at? Also, look at the failures that one could, also bring about and the challenges that we face on field. So we piloted a very small program looking at about 25,000 people in Hazaribagh, creating farmer-producer companies. I would say farmer-producer companies is a medium, to enable transactions and help them agglomerate into a group which can kind of look at a business, sense. In a matter of 2 years, we were able to look at doubling incomes of the 25,000 people. And this model was not just about, hitting at their existing occupations, looking at about 7 or 8 interventions, either diversifying into your new crops, looking at climate resilient agriculture, looking at bringing in technology platforms. Most important piece of access to finance, which today is, which plays a critical role in terms of scaling up of businesses and the opportunities that could lie in terms of them to become that small or a medium enterprise tomorrow. So, a model of existing occupations coupled with about, bringing in a secondary occupation and convergence with government schemes was relatively, theory of change, which could typically lead to doubling incomes for them. At the back of this model and this, the kind of success we had, we were able to scale this in 6 states, with the HDFC Bank. And this was the single largest program outside of government to look at 500,000 women to be benefited with that aspiration of doubling incomes. And very proudly, in a matter of 3.5 years, the MORD looked at this as a scalable, replicable model with constituting great partnerships, leveraging the ecosystem that there is already, and looking at corporate partnerships coming in to drive that change. And Grant Thornton was advised to run the CSR cell at the Ministry of Rural Development. I'm only mentioning this, I'm not doing any sort of a sales pitch here, but the reason why is because, we do not want to see, another parallel sort of a track getting created. The government is far larger than all of us put together. At any given point in time, we are looking at large-scale implementation. We look at, setting the context, look at bringing in that policy-level change, etc. But, we are going to be there for a given period in time. Till the time, we have funding support, we are able to get our professionals on ground to do that great work. But the government is going to remain forever. And why not leverage onto, the largest platform that they've laid? So I think it's a time for transformation. It's a time to look at, how do we look at, creating or scaling up the SHG network into FPOs. And a broad number, of 2024 is that if we have 8,500 FPOs today in the country, only 10%, about 850 odd FPOs are women-led, women-owned in the country. And, I can speak a lot more. I will give that opportunity to the others. Yeah. But, I will also want to focus on a few points in terms of why those 3 or 4 areas are crucial and what can we do more to enable that, a more responsive ecosystem, shape that vibrant economy. And it is very critical for participation of women, not just as, job seekers, but job providers. We're looking at 400 million in the workforce at 2047 to get to that Viksit Bharat of $30 trillion. But we are only set to about 110 million women till date. So, that's the larger perspective. I will also, kind of delve upon into certain areas which needs transformation.
Yeah.
But over to you.
Yeah, Tarun. I mean, the key takeaway from your point, which I 100% agree, is that we don't need to recreate more. SHG, if you see, saturated almost in India. FPOs in the coming 2 to 3 years, we are seeing the trajectory that it may also get. But how can we leverage the existing ones? How can we, build on enable the other things? So, Tushara, coming back to you, when we are on the corporate side, we look everything from we have now developed this habit of digitization, right? Everything should be digital. Our CSR program should be digital. We should be able to monitor programs, digitally, all those things. So, I am always of the belief that FPO is also similar structure like we work in the corporate, right? They have also similar structure, governance, everything needs to be done accordingly. But we have best of auditors in our company. We have best of, financial managers in our company. And when we look at the FPOs, they still lack on procurement policies. They still lack on the financial management aspects, on the governance aspects as well. So this is one issue which is very, very prevalent in the ecospace, FPO ecospace. But how your organization, I just want to understand, they are enabling the FPOs from the digitization, use of technology point of view. Not every FPO, but yes, the FPOs who are matured enough, who have raised their bars. Can you highlight some point?
Yes, thank you, Samir. I was anyway wanting to talk about it. So here we have created an MIS that works for the FPOs, where the CEO puts in the data. It's, as you rightly said, FPO is a company and has to be looked at from a pure business lens. Typically, farmers have a point of view of this is our organization and therefore we are kind of supporting each other, which is very important, not denying the fact, but always keeping an eye on how is my FPO doing? What is my exact cost? Am I calculating my transportation cost, storage cost, etc., etc.? The variety of interventions that grow. Businesses always calculate every penny on logistics. So this digital platform that we have created for FPOs, we are going to be having each of these tracked so that they can, every time anyone asks them, they are not like beating around the bush talking about humne itna kama liya. I mean, hamara itna revenue ho gaya, this is what our turnover is. But they'll exactly be able to pinpoint as to what is going in what, and also having all sorts of SOPs in place. How are we going to go about procuring a certain thing, or how is our distribution channel going to work? All of those pieces are going to be taken care of in that digital piece. It's just kind of we are rolling that out with our FPOs, and we are hoping to see most likely if we again meet on this subject next year, we'll be able to give you a much stronger standpoint on how this is exactly getting executed on ground. But I see tremendous potential in being able to track, how what you measure you can manage. We all know that. So we are kind of definitely working with all our FPOs to ensure that gets measured. One quick thing I also want to add from a perspective of bringing in more transparency, and like what I said previously, to avoid the politics, we are now working with a bottoms-up approach. So typically how FPOs are formed is that a small group comes together with the support of whichever the facilitating agency is, and then more people keep getting added to it as shareholders. What we have done is we have created Lupin farmer schools, like 25 of a group of 25 farmers each, and from there representatives would be sent to the governing board, and therefore the equal representation from across locations, and no control of one particular community or one particular gender, or caste or whatever. So that kind of creates a diversity, or region even, because these farmers are going to be from different villages. And that I think is going to help in the governance structure and large-scale FPOs to do larger business. Thank you.
I mean, that's a very valid point, because I also believe, I was discussing with the other day with somebody with access to finance for FPOs, Rashri. Yeah. And what they were telling us that, they are not confident enough to give finance to an FPO because of the lack of governance structures, because of the lack of the SOPs which are there. So I think the role of corporates who are working in the field of FPO, particularly the corporate foundations or the not-profits, is that how they can leverage from their existing strength. I mean, you must be having good auditors, Can we send some of our internal auditors to that particular FPO and build their systems and help their systems? So I think that needs to be, taken care of if people are willing to do that.
Our finance managers are actually doing the training for
exactly.
the farm
That's what.
FPOs.
That's
yeah,
what.
we are already doing that.
And there are, I was looking at the strength, 10,000 FPOs, 50,000 we have to come up in the next few years. So for 50,000 CEO positions will be filled. Can you imagine? I mean, people who are young, pass outs, MBAs, they can apply to become the CEOs of that particular, and they can run it for some time and then, hand it over to the farmers. They can develop their business plans. So all that can be leveraged from the existing resources which we right now have. So I will come back to you, Rashriji, in the last. But Tarun, since you said that there is a special cell of GT which works very closely with the MORD, Ministry of Rural Development. So how actually right now they are looking at from the policy perspective, any new changes, any new updates in the FPOs? Can you just highlight quickly? We have 6 minutes in hand.
Yes.
2 minutes for you, 2 minutes for ma'am.
Absolutely. I'll just
and then
stick
we'll
to that timeline,
2 minutes,
right?
yeah.
So the focus, for them is going to be in terms of taking these or scaling these, and majority of the room would know that we're looking at the SHG transitioning into SMEs, which would be the small, micro, and medium enterprises of tomorrow. Branding and marketing is going to remain a large focus. The ministry is looking at setting up a bank larger than any bank in the country, which is going to run on the VC model. Access to finance has been lacking. If you look at the capital support that we spoke about, 50,000 crores, the credit support completely, the capital support is only about 10%. So, the access to finance is very important for them to ensure that they're able to scale up. Only about 20% of the FPOs today in the country have access to formal credit. And the primary reason for them not to be able to access credit is because over 70% of those FPOs in the country are unaware or have restricted access to digital platforms, records, which can help enable, the larger MFIs, the NBFCs, and the banks to come and support them with credit. I personally feel that there is a lot that's available in the ecosystem. There are startups. We very proudly have built the system where 100% of our producer organizations today are digitized. Within a year's time, they're able to access formal credit, and to the tune of a couple of crores. In the last 2 years, we've been able to leverage over 100 crores from financial institutions, which is to promote these FPOs into those micro, small, medium enterprises. Largely, the focus will remain in terms of creating state brands, national brands at the back of brilliant platforms that we have in the country, like the ONDC, which will give us more access. If we talk about the numbers in terms of how many of those FPOs are literally or have an access to export markets, only 12% of those 8,500 FPOs. If we talk about 70 to 75% of the FPOs today are restricted to local markets, because there is no visioning of a brand, there is no visioning of packaging, processing, infrastructure ability, and that creation is critical to look at them scaling up. I think the need is in terms of, funding, and the models, the beautiful models of the ADBs and the World Banks of the world have brought in is the technical assistance on ground. How can you bring in more professionals to enable that support? The schemes of the government are large enough to enable infrastructure creation, to look at equipment and machinery coming in, look at those common facility centers that need to be established for primary, secondary processing and packaging. And we did a dipstick in terms of a state, and the state of Jharkhand, where we looked at why are we running around creating more infrastructure for storage and warehousing, etc. The state has 4,500 schools which are defunct today, which can be utilized, and that's something that we're enabling as a policy change. There is so much of government infrastructure that remains available. How do we institutionalize, bring in those assets within the ambit of that journey of social transformation is the piece we are attempting. And, everyone in this room, everyone outside will have to, gear up in terms of scaling this entire initiative to ensure, women economic empowerment is what will lead us. And we are very, very assertive in terms of seeing that Viksit Bharat accomplishment is only at the back, of women leading those enterprises. I'll throw just the last data. Data suggests for every lady who creates an enterprise, there are 3.5 more jobs created for that community. Thank you.
Yeah, but Tarun, since you work very closely with MORD, so it gives you an opportunity to take all those ground level issues and bring in the notice of the ministry so that they are able to also address right challenges. Course corrections anywhere. So that becomes one of the major responsibilities as well. But Rashidi, coming back to you, the last very question. Three challenges in terms of nurturing an FPO, top challenges which you see right now in the ecosystem.
I will talk about challenges, but I just wanted to build upon Tushara ji's point and Tarunji's point. One thing what I feel is, we are talking about all these viability, business type of skills. But I think for FPOs, for SHGs, in Indian context, I think yesterday somebody said that we always see value for money. But why don't we see value for many? So I think this is the spirit of collectivization, and that is, we should not be underestimate that. It's not only all financing, break-even, viability, it's also collective spirit where everyone disorganized, they are disorganized and are coming together. And I think that also gives them opportunity to understand about demand side picture, market potential, also the kind of brand that you spoke about. Otherwise, they are just selling produce. They are just selling rice. Now, when you are linking them to market, they understand that there is something called GI. There is something called brand. There is something called promotion.
Yes.
So I think those are also the opportunities we need to optimize on. And in terms of constraints, I would say constraints are there, but these are also opportunities and areas requiring intervention. One is capacity building. Tremendous amount of hand-holding and capacity building is required because these are typical producers and we want them to start now talking to consumers or markets and understand the promotion, pricing, positioning. So I think that requires hand-holding. That is one constraint. And second thing is speed, with which we want them to develop and start performing. Exactly. So I think it requires some member centrality, lot of input for governance building, and that is something we see as a challenge. And I feel everybody's together should understand that this will require some time, some investment, and some resources.
Fantastic. It's such a vibrant topic. I can go on and speaking about it, but I just want to give time to the audience if they have some questions. Please feel free. Yes. 2, 3, yes. Who will start? Yes, please. Yeah, yeah.
सर पैनलिस्ट से मेरा एक प्रश्न
जी,
रहेगा और
पूछिए।
उम्मीद करता हूँ शायद हिंदी में आप लोग कंफर्टेबल हों। एक्चुअल में सर आपने बात की एसएचजीज की, हालांकि एफपीओ सेक्टर अभी नया है और मैंने इस पर इतना ज़्यादा कंसर्न लिया नहीं अभी, लेकिन एसएचजीज को मैंने एक चीज़ नोट की है कि एसएचजीज को बनाया गया था महिलाओं की एम्पावरमेंट के लिए, उनके इकोनॉमिकल ग्रोथ के लिए, लेकिन कहीं ना कहीं एसएचजी सेक्टर बन चुका है जो माइक्रो फाइनेंसिंग एजेंसीज हैं उनकी ग्रोथ का सेक्टर, क्योंकि महिलाएं अगर इनको एसएचजीज के रूप में लोन वगैरह कुछ भी मिलता है उसकी मार्केट कनेक्टिविटी नहीं है, उसके लिए कोई भी मार्केट लिंकेज ऐसा कोई भी प्लेटफॉर्म ना तो फंडिंग एजेंसी डेवलप कर पा रही है ना ही इम्प्लीमेंटिंग एजेंसी डेवलप कर पा रही है। तो कहीं ना कहीं मुझे लगता है कि शायद एसएचजी जो है वो सिर्फ माइक्रो फाइनेंसिंग एजेंसी का एक जनरेटिंग पॉइंट बन चुका है। इस पर आपका क्या विचार रहेगा सर?
So you want to take?
So I can respond in English, right? That's okay. So I don't believe that SHGs have only, led to a part of playing financing activities. अगर देखा जाए आपने, I don't know if you heard of Saras and eSaras. eSaras is the brand. eSaras is the digital platform which is looking at ONDC enablement. eSaras will ensure that all the brands of the SHGs are, have visibility on the market side. Eventually, उसको एक, 8 से 10 महिलाओं का एक जो हमने SHG नेटवर्क क्रिएट किया है, प्राइमरली उनका कुछ काम है, फार्मिंग हो, नॉन फार्म रिलेटेड एक्टिविटीज हो, ऑफ फार्म हो। सो एक तो स्ट्रेंथनिंग उनकी जो फाइनेंसिंग रिलेटेड एक्टिविटीज की है और इनकी जो बिजनेस प्लानिंग रिलेटेड पीसेस है, वो दैट इज स्ट्रॉन्गर देन मेन। देयर एक्यूमेन फॉर operating or understanding a business because of the SHG enablement is strong in that direction, finance part. The market needs channelization. The market needs further scaling them up into larger organizations, which is a producer organization, or it could tomorrow be federating a producer organization into many, or looking at creating an enterprise. That's the third stage, and which is actually helping them fit into the supply chain of corporates, where they will be able to kind of, be more structured in the formal economy. But SHG products or SHG जो community का जो जितनी visibility है in terms of the platforms they have, and the national level platform, and the government is now focusing to create state level platforms too, right? And that will give them, and you're right, कि market access, 35% more market access can be enabled if we have access to the right digital platforms. We have seen that over 90% of rural economy has access to smartphones, which will help them to ensure that they are able to eliminate middlemen, right? The intermediaries that we have, which cut about 18 to 19% of their profit. And they will be able to scale this entire piece through platforms like ONDC, where you have integrations for logistics, for supply chain, for ensuring they have access to larger markets, whether national, global. And that's the larger piece the ministry is attempting. And eSaras, you can always look at. We are currently managing that also for the ministry.
So, आपका प्रश्न का उत्तर मैं जो इन्होंने कहा मैं थोड़ा ऐड कर दूं। जब पहले SHG बने तो सेविंग एंड क्रेडिट वाज वन ऑफ द मेजर एजेंडाज। धीरे धीरे जैसे ग्रोथ हुई वो सेक्टर मैच्योर होता गया। अभी क्या है कि जो आपने बताया कि माइक्रो फाइनेंस इंस्टीट्यूशंस के लिए वो एक टूल है, अभी जो फाइनेंस की ज़रूरत है ना, जो मैच्योर्ड SHGs हैं उनको अपनी बिजनेस को अगर आगे लेके जाना है तो दे नीड अ बिगर फाइनेंस। तो उसके लिए माइक्रो फाइनेंस इंडस्ट्रीज जो हैं उनको अप्रोच करती हैं, एंड देन व्हेन दे अप्रोच SHGs तो वो प्रॉपर बिजनेस प्लान देख के ही उनको फंड करती हैं, क्योंकि जो आपस की जो उनकी क्यूमुलेटिव सेविंग है, जैसे मैंने कहा अभी तकरीबन 20,000 करोड़ है, वो 20,000 करोड़ जो है वो बटी हुई है अलग अलग जगह पे, ठीक है? तो उसको थोड़ा सा बूस्ट अप करने के लिए फाइनेंस की ज़रूरत है अगर आपको बिजनेस को अप्रोच करना है। तो देयर इज अ पॉजिटिव साइड टू इट ऑल्सो, राइट? आप कोई प्रश्न पूछते हैं? टाइम्स अप। वन क्वेश्चन, क्विक क्वेश्चन, वन प्लीज।
So,
we'll give an opportunity to the lady also.
yeah, I'm
after
very
that.
fortunate to be in this particular forum today. Perhaps I was the one who started my life with Pradhan, and then, the whole of World Bank program in Andhra Pradesh by Mr. Naidu. We started the whole self-help group movement. In those days, we visualized this. Today, we are talking about whole farmer producer organizations, women, self-help group federations, and so on. I think, the whole congratulations to the whole CSR box and entire panel. It's a wonderful session. But still, I think, I have a couple of challenges. In one farm, I had a CSR of one of the pharmaceutical company. I'm not talking on behalf of that, but as a practitioner and agriculture and management graduate, my heart still beats for farmers, where, we have a lot of challenges around, quality issues around products, may it be black pepper, or it could be turmeric, or it could be coffee, lot of products based. One answer from Tarun is Saras, which, connects to the whole of platforms. But still I urge all CSRs to be little flexible in helping enablers to help in brand building of products, where, we have chili farmers in Telangana where they started actually building the brand, but they are not able to get into social, at least into the marketing, urban, rural context.
So it's more of a suggestion, sir?
More of suggestion, and then
Yeah.
also any ideas, anyone who has such, experience, I would love to kind of connect to them in the next 10, 15 minutes, where we
Sure.
would like to take it to the ground. Thank you.
Yeah, we are. Just one lady last. We will take the discussions outside. Yeah. Yeah, please. Just one second.
Do a little context setting.
Yeah.
I'm part of a. Ma'am, it's important. Please, I understand, but it's important.
Yeah, give her a minute, please. Yeah.
So we are trying to build an ecosystem for D2C based exports, right? And we have also offline we are talking to Saudi and Dubai and Bahrain, and also across the world. Now this is very specific to food crop, right? Because if anything is going inside you or putting on the skin, there are very serious compliances. And of late, we saw what happened with one of the leading brands, and I don't want to name it, but the spices were rejected, right? Way back, I think 10 years back, I was talking to this lady who has opened the first Indian restaurant in UK, and she said, there's only one brand which gets approval, and that's also borderline. So what I want to bring, and the question I want to ask, or maybe the suggestion, that when we are talking about capacity building, and when we are talking about especially brand building, see, brand is not just about the marketing aspect, it is the quality, right? And the input. So if you look at the supply chain, the input aspect, and there is a scheme called Bharati Krishi Paddhati, उसका अपटेक नहीं है.
मुझे आपको रोकते हुए बहुत बुरा लग रहा है, बट हमारे कुछ ऐसे नेक्स्ट सेशन के स्पीकर्स हैं जिनकी फ्लाइट्स हैं.
I understand, sir, but मेरा एक स्पेशल बस
हम
यही है कि
बाहर बैठ के बात कर सकते हैं इस
but
मुद्दे पे.
as a forum, this is a very serious issue. We cannot export. In short, we cannot go out, and also it's the health of the nation which is at stake.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Capacity building and quality is very important.
I think this is for you to take up.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much, all the panelists.
Thank you
and
to all the
for
esteemed panelists.